That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper. Kind of feels like the Muppet Show with my circle. Hi, everybody. We got a big week 7 this week, so get ready. Don't want your opponent to go waka waka waka. It's time for TSS Fantasy. That's like an old joke. Sorry, that probably didn't come off to the new generation.
Yeah! Here we go!
It's time for TSS Fantasy.
It is Commissioner Cooper.
I could do a whole 49ers show right now.
Ready to rock out with my gavel out.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Don't sleep on my Patriots, you know.
We're ready for football. That's
Joe Burrow with this wrist, I'm curious.
I find you guilty of all charges.
although you consistent force in this
I please develop some really great
DJ Chuck Bass.
This guy has been doing it ever since coming off.
I hope you like the way I pimped
He's
you out.
made 4 targets in all 3 of the classes.
Game for a touchdown this year.
You know, the great thing about being a football player is you don't have to take a shower to go to work.
There it is.
Don't have to take a shower, indeed. I just realized my microphone was out when I started. So here we go. Let's get things started tonight. It's Friday night. Got a lot going on this week. Let's introduce, of course, my co-host, Justin Jesus Herrera. Welcome into the building.
Oh, man, it's good to be here on a Friday night, ready to break down some good games this week. Can't wait to watch even more good games. Yeah, let's get this thing going. Come on, man, let's go.
So much goodness coming up in week 7. Let's get it started. Let's pay the bills, of course, first. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid. Give us a subscribe, a like, throw your fantasy questions in there. We appreciate it. Little things stopping you from doing it. Big things popping for us when you do. So we do appreciate that. Go visit Underdog Fantasy. Lots of great fantasy games to play. Use the promo code TSS. We'll double your deposit up to $100. So make sure you do that ASAP. And if you're looking for some championship bling for your fantasy champion, look no further than Pro-Am belts. All right, let's get things started off tonight with the little news. So what's funny is last night, a couple of us, I'm not going to call anybody out, but a couple of people went with the Saints. I know it's kind of a surprise. I can't wait for Sunday because we're really going to have a discussion about that. But we'll talk about the game real quick because it was a beatdown. But for fantasy perspective, it wasn't huge unless you had, of course, Will Lutz, Broncos D, Javonte Williams. There was about 3 or 4 people in there that was getting you some points. Other than that, it wasn't a great night. 33-10 Broncos. Javonte Williams, like I said, 88 yards, 2 TDs, 3 receptions with 23 yards. Bo Nix, 164 yards on the in the passing game, but then gave you 10 carries for 75 yards. Pretty decent. Pretty decent for the QB, but not a huge night anyway. But other than that, like I said, Broncos D got good points, and Will Lutz got his revenge game. All right, what were your thoughts on last night, Justin?
Yeah, so I was one of those guys that picked the Saints. I obviously, going into it, did not know Rashid Shaheed was going to be gone for the entire season. And I also didn't know Chris Olave wasn't going to show his face. So that's the crime of picking these picks on like Monday, Tuesday range. You know, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it looked like a physical beatdown. Broncos defense looked way more physical. Saints defense looked really old. I mean, they got a lot of old pieces on there. They highlighted Demario Davidson like his 14th season. He's the leader of that defense. So, you know, and that was just an instance where when you're playing too much defense, it's not a good thing. And the Saints offense could not push the ball, so they were playing way more defense. Bo Nix didn't fuck it up. So, you know, cheers to him. But, yeah, that Broncos defense, man, I think they had like 2 picks, and they almost had 1 that went to the house. So I was, that Broncos defense is nothing to snuff at, man. They're real good.
Yeah, legit. Everyone was playing on all cylinders on that Broncos team last night. I was like, "Ooh!"
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I kept saying to myself, I know anyone starting in this game until I looked, and then I just so happened to have Broncos D in one league that I totally forgot about, and I'm so happy that they were in because, man, that's a decent night to say the least. All right, well, again, not much to talk about fantasy last night, but so let's move on and talk about what we really need to talk about, and it's been piling up all season long. Let's get Brian Scott from the Injury List podcast to talk about some injuries.
A.J. Dillon just went into the medical tent a moment ago.
Bri, what is up, my brother? How are you this evening? Welcome in. I know we have kept you busy all season, and it's just getting busier. I apologize, but welcome in.
Yeah, well, pleasure to be here. Even though I'm a little banged up myself, I'm still in a lot better shape than most of the guys on this list here, which is pretty sad for them.
All right, well, what do we got? Take us inside the medical tent this evening.
All right. Well, there's only one quarterback worth mentioning, and that was Drake May, and he's been taken off the injury report, so he's going to be good to go. There was some concern earlier in the week about his knee, but an MRI revealed nothing, and then he returned to practice, and the team said they weren't too concerned. Well, he's off the injury report, so he's good to go. But at the running back position, there is way more than one. In fact, there's a laundry list of running backs, as we've seen historically over the last couple of years. But on a good note, it looks like Nick Chubb is going to make his return this weekend, especially now that one of their other running backs, Jerome Ford, has officially been listed as out. Chubb just entered that 21-day window a couple weeks ago, and it looks like he's going to be activated, and he will suit up this weekend. Whether or not he gets a full workload is yet to be determined, but we will see him make his league debut after having undergone a second major multi-ligament knee reconstruction. Amazing story there. How this guy even made it back, I don't know. But
Can I ask you a quick question on that? It was something that it just made, if you're saying medically clearing Nick Chubb to play, why medically is it necessary for them to, quote, take it easy? Because if he's well enough to play in an NFL game, why does it matter how much he plays in a game? Maybe just from the medical perspective.
Yeah. So from an orthopedic surgery standpoint, the reason they're saying he's medically cleared to go is from a physiologic standpoint. He's no greater risk to injuring his knee now than he was, a year ago, 2 years ago, or whatever it was before this injury. It just simply is saying that there's no physiologic reason why he shouldn't be able to do all the things that he needs to do on the field of play. Now, when we say we're going to take it easy or they're not going to give him a full workload, that's just merely him trying to work his way back into game shape and game condition, because that's a completely different physiologic requirement of players. It's one thing to be in shape. It's another thing to be in football shape. It's one thing to have a healed knee and to be recovered from surgery, but it's another thing to then ask that knee to undergo the stresses of having to do football activities on the field during a live game action. So that's simply all it means, is just differentiating the two.
Thank you, sir. Go on. My bad.
That's why we're here. Moving right along, Jordan Mason, a C-joint sprain. He was limited both today and yesterday. Had been wearing non-contact jersey both days. They've been saying it's a week-to-week injury. This is one of those things where he might suit up. He might be a game-time decision. He could see a reduced workload. That whole AC joint sprain week-to-week thing is kind of misleading. It's either he's in or he's out. I don't really understand the week-to-week thing. So I do think we will see him play. If there is any setback, it'll happen very quickly once he's asked to dip that shoulder and take a hit or try to get through the line. So we'll know pretty quick whether he's good or not. Speaking of good or not, Aaron Jones, he's been dealing with a hamstring issue, initially reported as a hip thing. They're coming off a bye week, which has definitely helped give him some time to kind of heal. However, the team then went and traded for Cam Akers from the Texans. So you have to wonder just how healthy he truly is. He was limited in practice yesterday, and it sounds like he's going to come in with a questionable tag. So I am kind of doubtful that he's going to play. If he does, again, this could see him be a limited action, maybe reduce snap count. But now with Cam Akers coming in, it looks like he might be asked to share some of the workload there. So I have to keep an eye on that. Travis Etienne, he's been limited in practice with the hamstring issue. Again, this is one of those week-to-week assessment things, which is kind of silly. He'll be carrying the questionable tag as well. Reporters did state that he did not do much at practice all week. And it sounds like he's going to be remain questionable up until game time. This could be a true game time decision. I'm leaning more toward him not playing than playing. We'll have to see what happens there. Jonathan Taylor, he is officially been ruled out again this weekend. That's third straight game out. This is the 12th game he's missed due to injury. The last 3 seasons, 6 of those were because of his ankle injuries back in 2022, after which he had offseason surgery to address. So it's not the same ankle. We hope it's not the same issue, but it sounds like it is. It's a high ankle sprain. This is not looking good for him. This could mean an IR spell if things don't turn around quickly here. We'll have to see. Ramondre Stevenson was out again yesterday, then missed 5 straight days of practice, and then suddenly he appears in London practicing in full with the team overseas. So it sounds like he's going to be a game time decision, but he's leaning more toward playing because apparently he looked pretty good during the practice session today. So we'll have to see. It sounds like he's going to suit up. Brian Robinson, this has been a big question mark for me too. He's been dealing with some type of knee issue since week 4. He played in their week 5 game, but saw significant decreased workload and then sat out week 6 after missing practice all week. Then he was limited in practice all week this week. And they're saying that he's going to be questionable, game time decision, but they're going against Carolina. Like, do you risk it going against Carolina when you can almost assure yourself a W? I don't know if they do. I'm leaning more toward him not playing this week because of that. Rashad White, he had some type of foot injury, was limited in practice all week. He's probably going to carry a questionable tag as well. Ironically, he got injured on a hip drop tackle. Not sure if it was flagged or not, but hopefully we do end up seeing that flagged at least some point this year because it has actually been banned, but barely called. Devin Singletary for the Giants dealing with a groin, limited in practice today, but head coach Dable said that he will probably suit up this week, but they're going to basically have a 3-man rotation with Tracy getting more of the workload with some action from Singletary as well. But it sounds like Tracy will be carrying most of the workload there. Tyjae Spears, him, along with his counterpart on the team, a wide receiver, Treylon Burks, have both been listed officially as out this weekend. And there's reports that Burks could actually be headed to IR with some type of knee issue. Not exactly sure what that is, but that's not good news there. I mentioned Jerome Ford being officially out with his hamstring injury, giving Chubb a chance to return. And then Jonathan Brooks is slowly starting to make his way back from his ACL reconstruction. So keep an eye out there. Things could change regarding the news on him. Heading over to the wide receivers quickly, we got Marvin Harrison with a concussion. He was limited, but the team plays Monday night. He's still got time to clear the concussion protocol. We still might see him if he can get through practice this weekend. He still could get cleared. Malik Neighbors has officially been cleared. We will see his return this week after missing 2 weeks with a concussion as well. I guess the Travis Scott concert really helped his cause. Cooper Kupp dealing with this ankle, listed as questionable. He was limited in practice all week. If I know Cooper Kupp, and I think I pretty much do because he's been on my injury reports for like the last 3+ years every week, I don't think he's going to play. They're probably going to bring him along slow. Deontay Johnson, he appeared on the injury list today after a limited practice session in which they added an injury to his already existing injuries. So he had an ankle and a hamstring listed, and then all of a sudden a rib injury popped up next to his name today, which, according to their head coach, Canales, he suffered in the middle of practice. So that could put his availability in doubt this weekend, which is unfortunate because he's their team's leading wide receiver, and they don't have much else going on over there. So Jacoby Myers, he did not practice this week and is officially listed as doubtful, which means there was a 25% chance that he plays. So probably not going to see him. Dontavian Wicks' shoulder, limited in practice, but he will be listed as questionable and was quoted saying that he feels much better and he should be ready to go Sunday, even with that questionable tag. Mike Evans dealing with some type of hamstring issue. He was practicing on the sideline today with trainers, but is expected to be available. They do play Monday night, so that does help the extra day of rest. And then Juju Smith-Schuster, limited Thursday and Friday with a hamstring issue, but reportedly he did well and didn't have any setbacks. Sounds like he's going to be a true game time decision. They are, if I'm not mistaken, they're coming off a bye week, so that does help as well. And that's all I've got. Well, Dallas Goedert, it sounds like he's going to miss a lot of time due to hamstrings. Not that it matters because the tight end position has been atrocious this year. So I don't know if it matters.
Wow. Like, whew.
Yeah. Now you know what I go through when I look at the list every week.
Shades of the Micro Machine Man. When oh man, I thank you so much for coming in tonight. I know that's a lot to cover. And it's just been a crazy year for injuries.
Yeah.
So and the crazy thing about it is they're like popping up suddenly and like right before even game time. When we talk about Christian McCaffrey, number one pick across a lot of boards, and right before game one there's this injury that was like, what?
And the 49ers aren't the only team that have done this year. It's been happening a lot lately, and there's been a lot of like erroneous reports coming from coaches' mouths about week to week and year to year and month to month. It just doesn't make any sense, which is why you need to turn to That Sports Podcast Network and listen to the Injured List and watch TSS Fantasies and read Inside the Medical 10 blog. I mean, there's just, can I give you any more reasons to do that?
I mean, I was about to say, go inside, but you just named it all right there. You killed it. Where else can we follow you on social media to let everyone know where they can get updates as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm most active on X at Injured List Pod. That's where you'll find me doing most of my updates. Every once in a while, I'll throw something up on Facebook or Instagram, the Injured List Podcast. But then, Andrew LeDuc and I do the blog Inside the Medical 10 every Thursday. We try to have that out. This week, we took a little bit of a different twist on it. We tried to go into reasons why concussions and hamstring injuries are so difficult to predict and some key things you should look for when trying to figure out whether to start your player or bench them, or if you're going to get the best out of them coming off those injuries. So definitely worth the read, worth the small nominal fee that comes with it, but guarantee you it could win you big bucks at the end of your fantasy season.
No shameless plug at the end of the show at all. All right.
By the way, how do you like the virtual training room here that I'm in?
I love it.
Yeah, look at that. The virtual training room.
Fantasy, got SeatGeek, you got all the sponsorship.
Oh, yeah, we got NeuroGuard over there on the other side. I don't know if you can see it.
Love it. Look at your great segue, too. Speaking of NeuroGuard,
that's right.
We're going to hear from our friends from NeuroGuard as we send Bri off. Don't forget, follow him, get all this great stuff. You'll see him on Sunday as well when you wake up with us. All right, Bri, we appreciate you.
All right, take care. Dr. Michael Hutchison has harnessed the latest in neuromuscular dentistry and impact technology to develop a mouthguard that does more than protect. It enhances. NeuroGuard Plus isn't just a mouthguard. By focusing on the jaw's physiological position, it provides an added layer of neuroprotection, significantly reducing the risk of sports-related neurological injuries. All athletes should be using a custom mouthguard designed to their bite position. NeuroGuard Plus was created as a means to maintain your physiological jaw position regardless of your bite. The appliance is designed to optimize your upper-lower jaw relationship to improve your strength, your balance, your oxygen intake, and drastically lower your chance of a concussion. Independent studies have shown that the NeuroGuard Plus will provide you with improvement to both upper and lower body strength. The same improvements were not present with a common mouthguard. Over 6,500 athletes have used the NeuroGuard Plus. Dr. Hutchison is happy to say that the amount of diagnosed concussions is 0.2%. The NeuroGuard Plus offers athletes, coaches, and parents an advantage to keep their players safe on the field. If you or your child actively participates in athletics, they need to be protected from the dangers of repetitive head trauma. Get your NeuroGuard Plus mouthguard today. Click on the link and use code ILPSports for 10% discount on your purchase.
Go get your mouth guard today, especially when it's time to bring it on down.
Break down. Bring it on down. Break down.
Bring it on down. Bring it on down.
Fred got some moves now. You messing around. Freddie got a little moves on the dance floor.
Me and LeDuc were talking about it on the last show. He was like, God damn, how long ago was this? Fucking Jay's got some hair on his head. Fucking Fred's fucking moving.
That was back in our high school days now. This bullshit. All right, let's go. We'll talk about the first one we're going to wake up to right after you wake up with us, of course. Jags at Patriots in London. Jags defense, 25th against QBs, 28th against running backs, 31st against receivers, and 19th versus tight ends. Patriots, 10th versus QBs, 27th against running backs, 19th versus receivers, and 15th versus tight ends. Guys you like and don't like.
Oh man, you know what? It's funny because I like the offense in both sides because both defenses are just goddamn pitiful. I'm a big if you have a lot of these guys in your team, they're not your priority. They're a lot of times your flexes. Especially if ETN doesn't suit up, then you're really looking at flex territory. I would, for the Jaguar side, I wouldn't be afraid to start Trevor Lawrence. He's been okay, especially in a 2 QB situation. That seems like a desirable place for him. If it's single QB, then you start to question whether your options are better on the other side. But, one guy that speaks to me on the Jaguar side is Brian Thomas. I like what Brian Thomas is cooking up. I also like Evan Ingram. And Evan Ingram is, he came back with 10 catches and 100 yards. I said it on the show. He's the guy who's like the key to this offense opening up. But I think Brian Thomas is going to be the guy that he's going to really look to be like taking the top off the field in this one. So I like those two guys. And then on the other side, man, Drake May, 2 QB setting. I'm okay with it, bro. Jaguars defense is pitiful. They're terrible too. And I'll tell you what, I can't tell you a wide receiver I truly like in this matchup, but I can tell you, go ahead and put Hunter Henry in a flex position or a tight end position. Dude, he's been as valuable as any other tight end has been this season. Let's go. He came off a 2-touchdown game. Put him back in there. Who is a favorite? Who is the favorite person of a rookie quarterback in a new offense? It's the tight end, man. It's the easiest guy to find. He's the biggest fucking guy. So I'm gonna go with Hunter Henry as my one lock for the Patriots. If Ramondre plays, I like Ramondre as well. And like I said, I don't mind Drake May in a 2 QB situation, man. Super flex, why not? The Jaguars have been terrible, and he threw 3 touchdowns last week. He wasn't too bad.
He might be, depending on how much you're spending up in other positions, not a bad play for DFS neither, because he's obviously coming in very cheap. But I don't know if I could start Drake May even in 2 QB, bro. I'm just being honest with you. But
you probably got better options than me, bro.
One thing I will say, if you're new to the show, one thing we have talked about before is Hunter Henry is fuck dogs. Hunter Henry is old reliable. We've talked about this before on our show. He's that girl that, she's not the one you're taking home to mom, but and when you come back home and it's Thanksgiving time or something, and you need a little something, you got old reliable that's always consistent, and that is Hunter Henry in a nutshell. And he's definitely got a good matchup against this Jaguar defense, as you mentioned. But I will say somebody I do like that I don't think I heard you mention, and if you did, I apologize. My dumb dogs are barking. Is Tank Bigsby. I liked how he looked, and I felt like like last week, Dearness Johnson kind of took his role away, which is why you didn't see, you know, a lot of him when Etienne was out. So I like Tank Bigsby this week. He just looks like the better back, and I think we'll see a good amount of him against this putrid Patriots run defense. So that's someone else maybe on DFS you might want to look at, and a good flex play too. Lions at Vikings. Let's get going. This is going to be a good Sunday. Lions against fantasy QBs are 11th. Running backs 3rd, 29th against receivers, and 4th against tight ends. The Vikings are 9th against QBs, 2nd against running backs, dead last against receivers, and 26th against tight ends. What do you say, guys? Do you like it? Don't like?
Well, let's just put it out there. Play any wide receiver you got in this game, because 29th and dead last. Oh yeah, it's a money shot right there. There's your. As Jeff Foxworthy would say, there's your sign. Also, you know, so Aiden Hutchinson really changes everything, because I really think that he was like the motor of that defensive line. And I think he's also a really good run defender. So I think that, you know, being 3rd against the run right now, I think that's kind of one of those things where you're kind of like, are you really now? We're going to kind of see what the new look Lions on defensive line look like. I still would trust Aaron Jones if you got him. He's at least a flex play for you at the very base minimum. I don't think Hawkinson is back just yet. I think that could have been – I don't know if the doc said anything about Hawk, but –
yeah, it was somebody I forgot to bring up. I heard that it's possible that he could actually play this week. So and he might be playing in limited action is what I heard. Kind of like the same we've heard with, we'll talk about Nick Chubb in a minute, and that's why I brought that up to the doc.
Right.
Kind of in that same type situation.
Right. If Hawkinson is limited, I probably wouldn't test the waters with it, but I'm very excited as somebody who has a lot of Hawkinson shares in a lot of my leagues. So you know, this could easily be a decent start for Sam Laporta as well. For me, I'm looking at this game and I'm saying there's probably going to be a good amount of scoring. It's probably going to look like the Green Bay Minnesota game, where it just kind of at some point the top just got completely blown off of it, and it just became, you know, a race to the finish, a race to double zeros to see who was going to win the game. So I'm really like loving, you know, if you got you some Sam Darnold, throw him in there. If you got yourself some Jared Goff, you definitely throw Jared Goff in there. The Lions running backs, there's the finicky part about it, because Gibbs kind of laid an egg last week, but, you know, Montgomery had 2 touchdowns. So I think you got to start whichever one you got. And if you got both of them, God bless you, because that could be a week-to-week situation there, bud. But, you know, I think that you could probably start them both with a lot of certainty in this game, at least as flexes. Yeah, this is – I'm going to stop wasting my air on this one, because this is just going to be a good game. Start
Yeah,
if you got him. And like I said, don't be afraid of Aaron Jones. Even though that 3rd is on there, I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to affect this team a lot.
Yeah, I'm even picking up the kickers. I mean, honestly. So I think you've said it all right there. You know, there's nothing else really needs to be said. I'd start anybody, everything. They're all good. At the very least, they're flex plays. Like you brought up Gibbs, like, you know, in Montgomery, because of the uncertainty, you know, that's where they belong, in a flex spot. So that's where I would pretty much rank them at. Titans at Bills. Titans against fantasy QBs are 12th. Running backs 9th. Receivers, they're number 2. Against tight ends, they are numero uno. The Bills are 13th against QBs. They are 31st against running backs, 8th against receivers, and 11th against tight ends. So surprisingly good Titans D. What do you think? Guys, do you like and don't like?
Man, if the Titans D could talk with the Titans offense and be like, hey, can you at least not play like dog shit? Can we play a little bit better than dog shit? And just imagine where the Titans could be, because they've lost a lot of close games. But I think that, you know, it's once again a game where, you know, if you have Will Levis in the lineup, like I said, may God bless you, because holy shit, you are in for a rough season. That was a terrible choice in one of my leagues. But yeah, I'm rolling with Josh Allen. I don't know the status if Cook is playing. I like him. If Ray Davis is playing, I like him too. Ray Davis proved himself last week against the Jets. Amari Cooper. I know a lot of people are high on Amari Cooper in this game. For some reason, I'm thinking it might be too late in the week. The connection might not be developed in practice just yet. And L'Jarius Sneed is a hell of a corner. So I'm thinking if I'm an Amari Cooper fantasy manager, I'm probably going maybe not the best option to start. And a lot of people were clamoring. A lot of people wanted it. And I'm like, I wanted it too. I saw it and I was just like, hell yeah. For the 2 leagues that I got Amari Cooper in, hell to the motherfucking yeah. But I think this might be the week that you might see kind of like the dud from him. Would not be surprised if Dalton Kincaid lays another egg too. I don't know what the tight ends. He's tight end 12 too. So he's technically a good tight end, but he just hasn't played like a good tight end. I'm like, dude, you had all these targets to yourself. But yeah, I mean, one guy I would look out for is since Amari Cooper is there now, somebody like a Khalil Shakir could go off in this game, or maybe even a Keon Coleman. Somebody who's not getting taken up by L'Jarius Sneed might go off in this game. So it might be easily a Khalil Shakir game if you're starting him if you have him. But if you have Keon Coleman, he might be a nice little flex for you. And then, like I said, on the Titan side, Tony Pollard and just everybody else, just keep them on your bench because, yeah, it does not look good if you're a wide receiver with the Titans.
Yeah. Calvin really had one good game, and I think Hopkins got, like a half okay game, like a flex worthy game. So yeah, it's tough to be a Titan, if you will, for a receiver. But gotta love Tony Pollard. Tajay Spears, I heard was not going to be available. So another big volume week for Tony Pollard this week. And again, they are soft as a baby's butt up the middle with Buffalo. So I definitely like that matchup. However, on the other side, like I said, they look tough, I guess, but I was looking at their schedule, and they played the Dolphins. Okay, what are we saying there? They played the Packers, who scored 30 points on them. Bears 24 points, Jets 24 points. So I might be a little misleading in the statistics, perhaps, because teams might have been getting up on them because their offense stinks so bad. They're giving such a bad field position up. So kind of like the thought process there. All right, let's go to the game of the day. It's America's team, the Miami Dolphins, going against the Dolphins are number 1 against fantasy QBs. I think another, again, misleading stat. 30th against fantasy running backs, 3rd against receivers, and 5th against tight ends. Colts are 24th against QBs, 21st against running backs, 22nd against receivers, and 29th against tight ends. So guys you like and don't like.
Yeah, so it's kind of been a quick turnaround for Indianapolis. They went from being one of the worst defenses to being actually a halfway decent one. So I think, Indianapolis kind of continues that this week. It's Anthony Richardson, which means he's going deep, which means Michael Pittman is not worth a start, even though you got him at a higher draft pick. Means Josh Downs is probably not worth a start, and you should probably just start Alec Pierce because he's the only guy who can go deep. But it's a tough week. I mean, I think I want Trey Sermon, Anthony Richardson, just because of the rushing upside, and I mean, maybe you just throw a shot in the dark at Alec Pierce or Josh Downs. I don't think it's Michael Pittman. I've seen too much of Michael Pittman with Anthony Richardson, and they just do not gel. Anthony Richardson cannot throw a pass 10 yards in front of him to save his life, but he can throw a pass 50 yards downfield, opposite field, or something like that. And it's just like on a dot. And you're just like, how can you do that, but you can't do this? Like it's a slant route, bro, or it's a hook route. You know what I mean? Like you're just no goes and that's it. But so I'm gonna hold Pittman this week, and everybody else is worth a flex to me. I think Trey Sherman is okay as an RB2. On the Dolphins side, is it still Tyler Huntley? Yeah, it's still Tyler Huntley. Oh shit, man, Kamish, are you gonna fire me on set if I say don't start Tyreek Hill?
I'm here, so I won't get fined.
Oh man, I feel so bad for saying that. But the reality is you're gonna put Tyreek Hill in, you're gonna hope for the best, and he's probably gonna get you like 4 to 6 points. And next topic.
Wow. So all right. So let me make the case for the Dolphins, for America's team. Look, Tyron Huntley's had another week involved in this offense. So take a little bit of time. I mean, again, I'll say what I said earlier. He just doesn't fit our system, so I don't really get the mix. But even so, he still looked better than Skylar Thompson ever looked. So, we'll see. I know, which is, again, Chris Greer, you should be fired. It makes no sense. Anyway, let me not get on that tangent. Talking fantasy perspective, and I like Achane in this matchup. Obviously, they're going to go back and utilize him, but Mostert, obviously, will be getting some carries as well, which is when they are most effective. So possibly that's what they lean on in this matchup, is a lot of this run game. The Colts, again, 21st against fantasy running backs, not as soft as the Bills, but they're not as like a stout run defense. So possibly that's what they lean on, and that's what I could see them utilizing. And possibly a little play action to Tyreek. That's all, maybe a deep ball connects at one point. So that's all. All right, let's move on.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
How much fun would it be if Jameson Winston was there? I mean,
don't get me started. Joe Flacco. I mean, there was a report out that Joe Flacco wanted to come, and then don't even get me started. All right, let's move on. Let's go to a good fantasy matchup. Seahawks at Falcons. Seahawks against fantasy QBs are 19th, running backs 22nd, 11th against receivers, and 27th against tight ends. Falcons are 18th against QBs, 8th against running backs, 21st against receivers, and 18th against tight ends. Guys you like and don't like?
Just about everybody. I really do like this matchup. I think this is a fantasy bonanza written all over it. You got both quarterbacks, play them. Running backs, play them. Even Tyler Algier, play him. He's been getting enough time to warrant some good action. And they've been kind of like doing the Gibbs Montgomery thing with them, where they're alternating series. So he's definitely getting chances at the red zone just as much as Bijan is. And then, wide receivers. How are you not playing these wide receivers? Drake London, DK Metcalf, Kyle Pitts. He has got to be coming up with a touchdown soon, man. He is one touchdown away from taking over like his tight end one, because he's been really consistent these past 3 weeks, getting 50 to 80 yards, 3 to 5 catches. He's really been putting that consistency thing in check, and now he just needs to get in the end zone. I think, Kirk really likes him. He's one of those go-to guys for him. I think you got to play Kyle Pitts this week. I feel it. I feel it in the air. And then Darnell Mooney, 1,000% worth a flex spot on your team. Jackson Smith and Jigba worth a flex spot. Tyler Lockett is my only one where I go, maybe not, because I don't know, man. Tyler Lockett shows up every once in a while, and then he kind of just disappears again. So I think I'll stick with Jackson Smith and Jigba and DK on the Seattle side, along with obviously Geno and K9, Kenneth Walker.
All right. A good matchup nonetheless. I like everyone in it. Kyle Pitts you brought up. I think that's a great point this week because he's pretty cheap at DFS, and Seahawks very, very soft against tight end. So I like that one a lot. Darnell Mooney, of course, has been great all season long. So Kenneth Walker, we'll see. Falcons have been a little stout against running backs, so we'll see. But he's always money as we go. All right, let's go. Bengals at Browns. Bengals against fantasy QBs are 25th, 19th against running backs, 13th against receivers, 23rd against tight ends. The Browns are 14th against QBs, 11th against running backs, 23rd against receivers, and they are 6th against tight ends. All right, guys you like and don't like.
Oh, man. So what if Nick Chubb was the answer to the Browns offense the entire time? And next thing you know, freaking Deshaun is throwing dimes all over the place. And he's got David Njoku in the end zone twice. And the Browns just rout the Bengals. Yeah. What dimension do we live in again? Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I do like the idea of Nick Chubb coming back, having an okay day. Maybe getting getting a touchdown. They're so banged up at the running back position with Ford out and Foreman not really looking amazing. But I can't, for the life of me, I can't find a Browns guy to start. I want to tell you in DFS, go and try somebody like a Cedric Tillman who just got promoted to the spot that Amari Cooper was in. So I'm kind of like, why not? Give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you just wasted $3,000 on a guy who's not going to win you anything anyways. But what if he gets like a long bomb touchdown and you're like, oh! But serious talk though, Bengals, play them pretty much all because the Browns, they're good defense, but they spend so much time on defense that they eventually get scored on by just about everybody. So I would say if you got Chase Brown, throw Chase Brown in. If you got Jamar Chase, you're never taking Jamar Chase out. T. Higgins as well. And then, maybe a sneaky play, you get Mike Gesicki in there. But I wouldn't trust that one 100%. But, if you got nothing better, it sounds like a decent play this week. And then Joe Burrow, of course.
I think Gesicki's kind of fall back a bit since the T. Higgins emergence. So I've been a little weary of starting him in any DFS even. Like he's just been like I used to call him out all the time. It's like, oh, and now it's like he's totally dwindled off. But I do like your point about the Browns and not much really to want to start. And Cedric Tillman though is that guy that always hits that deep bomb on occasion, and you're like, oh no, and I should have started that guy. But again, it'd be tough sledding for me. I'd say at least flex worthy. And I don't know. I feel like Chubb is flex worthy this week. I know it's limited action, but some tell me get in that end zone. That's why I'm saying if you're clearing him and he's good to play, then he's good to play. And so it's Nick Chubb. So I like the matchup a lot. All right, let's go to another great fantasy matchup: the Texans at the Packers. The Texans against fantasy QBs are 22nd. They're 5th against running backs, 18th against receivers, and 3rd against tight ends. The Packers are 8th against fantasy QBs, 15th against running backs, 17th against receivers, and 30th against tight ends. So what say you guys? You like and don't like in this one?
All right. Oh, I freaking love it. I'm gonna start off with Tank Dell. Love me some Tank Dell in this matchup. Jair Alexander's gonna be on Stephon Diggs. I don't know if that means anything. Stephon Diggs has been fire. Usually Jair Alexander has a pretty good gauge on whoever he's playing. But I still want to start Diggs. Jacobs has been disappointing as hell. Let's talk about it. Jacobs, I think, only has 1 touchdown this year. You thought he was going to be an RB1 for you. Boo-hoo. But guess what? He still gets that workload like an RB1, so you're going to want to put him in your lineup for sure. Emmanuel Wilson is an interesting guy. He's the RB2 for the Packers. And then on the Texans side, you got to go. You're starting all your regular guys, like I said, with Dell, Diggs, Mixon. I wouldn't start Schultz. I don't think Schultz has got it this week. And then, you know, I'm trying to think if I want to start Tucker Kraft.
I like Schultz, I will say.
You like Schultz?
I like Schultz this week. He's been targeted at least like 6-7 times, like in like the past few games. So if he's and again, you would expect a lot of targets all the way around in this one. Just another great. I don't even have enough TVs in there, bitch, to watch all this football. So I'm excited. So yeah, I like everybody. I don't even care. You can debate Tucker Kraft all you want. I'd put him in if I got him with confidence, because I think they're just going to see a lot of targets and just a lot of points on in this matchup. So I'm good all the way around in this one. All right, look, we've been through all the 1 o'clock games, so we got to take a breather real quick. It's a 1-minute recess. Our boy Angela Duke is here to take us away with some sophisticated starts of the week.
Oh la la! If you saw my sophisticated view right now, you would know it's not Deshaun Watson's face. But I digress. Who is sophisticated this week is Tony Pollard for Tennessee going up against Buffalo. Buffalo's the 31st worst-ranked defense against the run, and Tennessee needs to lean on someone in that abysmal offense, so Tony Pollard should be their one shining bright spot. And then my next 2 sophisticated starts this week are going to be from the same game. The Detroit and Vikings game should be the highest-scoring game of the week. I like both wide receiver 2s in Jordan Addison and Jameson Williams. I think both of them have big playability. I think both teams are going to be looking to push the ball down the field as much as they can, and I see them both getting very involved with around 6 catches each, and both of them finding the end zone. So those are my sophisticated must-starts for this week, Week 7. And as always, stay classy, friends.
Oh la la!
If he were to punch you in the face, you would have to fight off the strong urge to thank him.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Sophistication. All right, let's get to these 4 o'clockers. Raiders at Rams. So Raiders against fantasy QBs are 27th. Against running backs are 26th. Against receivers, they are something's echoing on your side, my friend. Sorry. And we've got 9th against receivers and 15th against tight ends. Rams are 23rd against QBs, 25th against running backs, 16th against tight ends, 27th against sorry, I think I said that wrong. 16th against receivers and 27th against tight ends. What say you now? What guys you like and don't like? And among no Devonta Adams Raiders.
Yeah. So I'm only going with Brock Bowers, and that's pretty much it. Brock Bowers is my guy with the Raiders right now. Dude's legit. He's now with Adams especially out, Myers out. He is going to be getting all the attention in this game. I feel bad for Aiden O'Connell because this guy probably felt like he had a promising career, and now he's kind of in the shit. But on the Rams side, it's so much more interesting because I'm actually loving everybody on the Rams side, from Matthew Stafford to Colby Parkinson, my friend. Oh my gosh. I think everybody can eat in this game. If I have to mandatory start somebody, it's going to be Kyron Williams. That guy is going to go freaking off in this game.
I think I'm not going to discount how soft the Rams D is, though. So, I mean, even though he hasn't looked all that great, Alexander Madison might be a good, at least flex option for you. They're 25th again against fantasy running backs. You've seen how soft they've been all season. So I don't mind it. There's again, the Raiders are one of those teams where always seem like, you kind of put them off and then all of a sudden they're back in your face again. So, we'll see, but I think, at least flex worthy option. We'll see if Cooper Kupp plays. Of course, that's what really matters as far as the receivers go. Because if Cooper's in, you can see him getting targeted heavily in this matchup. All right, let's go on to the Panthers at Commanders. Panthers against fantasy QBs are 21st. Against running backs, they are dead last in the league. 20th against receivers, 25th against tight ends, Commanders 28th against QBs, 18th against running backs, 28th against receivers, and 9th against tight ends. So what say you guys you like and don't like? By the way, before you start, I just want to say a stat I heard today because I'll forget it if I don't say it now. Chuba Hubbard, since Andy Dalton's been inserted in this offense, is the number 6 PPR running back since that's happened. Crazy town. What say you guys you like and don't like?
Yeah, Hubbard's been such a monster that people have been talking about where is he going to go play next, because people want to get him out of there so quick because they think he's, and he's a pretty damn good player for sure. So Panthers side, get this over real quick. Chuba Hubbard, and since there's really no wide receivers there, Deontay Johnson. I don't even think does Adam Thielen still exist in this universe.
I think the age is setting in. I think at this point.
Yeah, I think he actually took a trip to the IR. I don't remember what week he did though. So but one guy who's really getting on my radar is the tight end, the young tight end from Texas, Jatavian Sanders. He's been kind of putting up those little bit of like that Pitts number range, and I'm like thinking to myself, this guy just needs a touchdown to pop. Very much if you're shooting for the moon, a good DFS play on at least this week, and I think he might also garner a flex, especially with Deontay Johnson harboring some injuries, and so I like that play. And then on the other side, it's God, why am I blanking on what the team was?
The Commanders.
Commander. Oh my God. I blanked on who they were playing. Just play all your.
Indeed.
Just play all your Commanders. Jaden Daniels. Oh, money. The real money one is going to be Brian Robinson Jr. coming back. And our Eckler did not look good last week in a matchup that he was supposed to be able to exploit. Brian Robinson, he's going to look real good this week. B. John Robinson, the other B. Rob in the league, 2 touchdowns. He wasn't having any touchdown success, 2 touchdowns against them. So let's go. Brian Robinson getting the end zone twice. And then Scary Terry's always good for catches and a possible touchdown appearance. So give me them all. Give me them all.
Love the Sanders take. He's been getting targeted a lot and in the offense a lot, and you like at least volume. And a matchup you would expect the Panthers to have to keep throwing. How good this Commanders offense has looked. Again, Brian Robinson coming back. Yeah, you have a great game for sure. All right, let's go. Chiefs at Unitas. Chiefs against fantasy QBs are 16th against running backs are numero uno. Receivers 7th. They're dead last against tight ends. 49ers are 15th against QBs, 16th against running backs. They're 12th against receivers, and I made some kind of mistake because I got the 49ers dead last against tight ends too. So my bad on that. So anyway, what do you think, guys? You like it, don't like?
Where's the truth?
I'll look it up. I'll look it up while you go. Go ahead.
They're tied for dead last. But yeah. Yeah, I can say this with a lot of confidence. From the Chiefs side, play Patrick Mahomes. He plays really well when he plays against the 49ers. He turns on a different dial against them. My biggest thing is I don't know whether to play Juju in this game. He's been harboring an injury. I think Xavier Worthy is going to go bananas in this game. I love what this kid's doing, and I think they're just going to try and go over the top on this kind of slower 49ers defense. And trust me, that breaks my heart every time I say that. Every time I say some slanderous thing against the 49ers I know is true, I'm like, oh, God, it's breaking my heart. I wouldn't be surprised if Kelsey has a pedestrian game, just because I know he's going to be covered well by either Tig Brown or Fred Warner. And those are 2 guys that you can really count on in this offense, or this defense, I'm sorry. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kelsey has a pedestrian game. Now, he's going to have a horrible game. He could be like 11 to 13 points, but it's just not Travis Kelsey game. And then, like I said, Juju's the only one I'm kind of like back and forth on. He could get enough targets to warrant a good start, or he could totally just get shut out. I expect Lenore to be on him most of the game. And then on the 49ers side, play yourself some George Kittle. Man's on freaking fire. Do not sit George Kittle. And then Jordan Mason, I would actually sit Jordan Mason. That interior defense is tough. That front seven is real freaking tough for the Chiefs. I don't think that the 49ers are going to get much going there. I think they're going to have to rely on play action, so they're going to be trying to fake you out. But, yeah, I don't think Jordan Mason's going to be doing too much this week. And then the receiver, I think, is going to actually have a decent day. And hear me out here, because I could be totally wrong because he might not even play. But his name is Ricky Pearsall. He just got cleared, and Jawan Jennings has been ruled out for the game. So there is incentive to get him on the field, and he would be playing from the slot. So he won't be garnering the number one. And the dude's a first-round pick. The dude's an explosive player. And the dude's probably if bang for your buck, he's probably one of the better guys to put in a man-to-man situation, which is where the Chiefs are going to be putting the 49ers all day long. I think IU could have the better game between him and Debo, but low-key, if you're looking for somebody really like to stash on your DFS mindset, Ricky Pearsall, just remember that name. He could have a very explosive debut against the Chiefs.
Great story too. So I mean, you gotta love it. And a good, like you said, and a decent matchup for him to play in the slot, But I do like, and let me do him the service that you did not. America's tight end, George Kittle. Like him a lot in this matchup as well. So should be a good day for the Niners.
It sounds better when you say it.
But by the way, so to correct myself, the Chiefs are dead last, and the 49ers are 15th against fantasy tight ends. So there you go. All right, so let's move on to our next one, the Jets at the Steelers. So this one has some intrigue with the trade with Adams now with the Jets. And Russell Wilson now starting for the Steelers. So this game got real interesting real quick. QB against fantasy QBs, Jets are number 3 against tight ends. Running backs are 10th against receivers are 4th against tight ends are 7th. Steelers are 4th against fantasy QBs, 7th against running backs. Receivers are 10th, and against tight ends are 24th. So guys you like and don't like.
Shoot. Man, this is actually a tough one because I think that you play Devontae Adams. I think he's got the touchdown upside. I think that Rodgers is going to want to force it to him in the red zone. So I think he's got the touchdown upside. I think you should play Rodgers in 2 QB situation, not single QB. Russell Wilson, you shouldn't play him, period, because you just don't know. I mean, the last time we saw Russ, he wasn't very good, so I just don't know. I think if there's one benefactor from Russ, it's going to be Najee Harris. Najee Harris or Jaylen Warren, because I know he's back too. But I think Najee Harris is going to be a huge benefactor of just the dump down passes, the check downs. Hey, I'm back at it, rusty as hell, and I just need a quick pass play. So I think you're going to look at Najee Harris as that guy. Pat Freiermuth is another good option. I don't know if he's going to have the connection right away with Pickens. I hope he does, but I wonder if that's going to be right away connection. And then I guess possibly both defenses. I would say more the Pittsburgh side because they've been more consistent. But man, this is a weird game because it can get really messy, or it can be one of those games that just one team looks incredibly dominant. I either see the Jets blowing this one out or the Jets winning by like 1 point. And I'm like, I don't know how else to call it, man.
I think I echo your sentiment. I think it's a tough game to call because there's a lot of newness in both sides. So it's tough to say what the Steelers offense is going to look like under Russell Wilson. Also with Devonta Adams, how much does he affect this offense? Again, I kept bringing it up that they were a team with an identity crisis because their team was built to run the football and play good defense. And now you entered Aaron Rodgers, who, likes to, I felt like we were watching the game last week and I was like, I felt like, I'm sure he doesn't call the plays, but I felt like it was very arrogant of Aaron Rodgers or this Jets offense to look so well running the football, get to the goal line and decide to throw it. Like, I just don't understand the logic there. But be that as it may, does Devonta Adams make this team more pass heavy now and use Breece Hall in different ways? That's going to be an interesting story too. It's just very interesting. I don't know how confident I would be starting anyone here, but you have to start your Breece Halls. Najee is a tough play this week. It's maybe flex, maybe for him. If you got a better option, get him in there. But everything to me is just, it's a very uncertain, a lot of uncertainty. So if you've got a play that's more certain, that's where I would head. All right,
I got a question for you. Real quick. Where do you fall on Garrett Wilson? Just because I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, what if, like you just said, what if he's so arrogant that he goes to Devontae way more than Garrett, and it kind of sucks the air out of Garrett's fantasy value, at least for this one game, right?
Right. So that's why, and again, even if he does go to how many targets what does that look like against this Steelers defense? There's a lot of uncertainty. I think Wilson would fall for me as a wide receiver 2 play. I wouldn't really feel confident. Definitely as a 1. I mean, he's fallen into that flex worthiness to me. And I think the same with Devonta Adams, but just because of the uncertainty, don't know how much he's going to see the football, how much they're going to be able to connect. So I just think that for me, because of the uncertainty of it all, that's kind of where I would value them at. And if I had something better, which, it's tough to say, something better than Garrett Wilson and Devonta Adams. But if I do, and with a better matchup, that's where I'd be looking at least. All right, let's get to the Monday Nighters. Let's go. I want to do the fun one last. So let's go Chargers at Cardinals. Chargers against fantasy QBs are 6th. Running backs 25th. Receivers are 5th. And against tight ends are 22nd. Cardinals 29th against QBs, 23rd against running backs, 25th against receivers, 16th against tight ends. What say you guys you like and don't like?
So this game, I like J.K. Dobbins, Ladd McConkey, and Justin Herbert. For the Chargers, I think Quentin Johnston is still I think he's still injured. I have to look at that one more time. But as far as the guarantees, I like those guys. Lock them in. On the Cardinal side, I don't want to start Kyler Murray. This defense has been very stifling. And Kyler Murray, say what you will, he's a very off and on player. And, when he's on, he's on. But when he's off, he is not worth a damn for your fantasy lineups. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to have enough to mess with him in this game that he's not going to be worth it. And when he's not worth it, Marvin Harrison to me isn't going to be worth it. Trey McBride, just because he's a tight end and you just don't know what the tight end landscape is going to look like week to week. So you got to play your best players. I'll go with him. And then I think I'll still stick with James Conner because James Conner's still got a lot of good value in fantasy. So I would probably do Conner and McBride. And like I said, I would, as much as it hurts a lot of people's ears to hear this, I would sit Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray.
Yeah, they're tough plays this week. Again, as I mentioned, the same situation as I mentioned just a minute ago, kind of in that same receiver 2 flex play. So if you got something better, That's where you're going. I just looked it up. Quentin Johnson didn't practice, although this is Monday night, did not practice today neither, although they didn't rule him out just yet. But that's always the telltale if they're not practicing on Friday. All right, let's finish it up with the Ravens at the Bucks, the Monday night delight. I can't wait for this. I mean, this is going to be so much fun. Fantasy QBs, the Ravens are 31st against running backs are 4th, receivers 30th, 28th against tight ends. Bucks are 30th against QBs, 19th against running backs, 27th against receivers, and 17th against tight ends. So what say you guys you like and don't like?
It's weird. I think this QB1 versus QB2 in fantasy right now.
Yes, you are correct, actually. I love it.
Yeah, dude, this is a fun freaking game. So I'm gonna first off say Bucky Irving. I don't know if Rashad White's playing. Bucky Irving offers more in the passing game than Rashad White seems to at this point. And I would not play Sean Tucker if there's anybody planning on playing Sean Tucker. I think it was great what he did last week, 44 points. But guess what? I don't think it's not going to be replicated this week. Baker, I'm playing Baker all goddamn day long, along with Lamar. Derrick Henry, yeah, try and get him out of my lineups. You ain't gonna do it. Receivers, Chris Godwin. My gosh. Wide receiver 1, in my opinion. Mike Evans is good too. This kid, Cade Otton, he's coming along. I was just talking about with Trey McBride, you got to kind of play any tight end, and he's a good tight end to play. On the other side, shoot. It's so you laugh, but that shit's difficult to pick these guys, man. The Ravens switch game plans all the time. Shit. I think I'll stick with Zay Flowers, and that's it. I don't think I want to try myself at the tight end position because it's either Andrews, Kohler, Likely, Jabroni number 2, Jabroni number 3, the Jabroni in the stands right here that we're going to try out next week. Like, they cannot figure out who they want to put in as their tight end. But either way, week to week, if you have them on best ball, you're either happy or you're sad because, somebody scores a touchdown. But I think I'll go with Zay Flowers, and I think that's where I'll end. So Henry, Flowers, and Lamar. And then on the other side, I'm starting everybody for the Bucks. Bucks, full-blown express. Let's go.
I can't wait for this matchup. It's going to be so much fun on Monday night. Chris Godwin's going to have a great game, especially Mike Evans, a little hobbled with a hamstring. No spring chicken himself. So I like Chris Godwin a lot in this matchup. It's just going to be a fun game. A little back and forth on Monday night. Got to love it. All right, listen, speaking of having fun in the nighttime, we got our boy DJ Chuck Bass in the building to close out our show tonight. He's going to play your Friday or Week 7 fantasy hits. Let's check it out.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy DJ Chuck Bass. I got my OJ gloves on today because we're in the park playing the hits. We're going to be bringing long shot tight ends. You need some tight end help? Is your tight end on a bye? Is he struggling with an injury? Does he just suck ass? Well, guess what? We've got some long shots for you this week. Let's get to the hits. Up first, Isaiah Likely. Give me any and everybody playing the 29th ranked Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing defense who are giving up the most explosive plays to tight ends down the field. It's pick and pop with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. It was a Mark Andrews week last week. This week, it's an Isaiah Likely week. Let's stick in the same game for our hit number 2. Cade Otton. Cade Otton's coming alive a little bit in this offense. He's had some inconsistent target numbers, but this Ravens secondary likes to get their shit pushed in when it comes to the pass. They are getting wrecked in the air. They shut down the run. Look for Cade Otton to be a go-to factor as the Ravens try to take away Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, although good luck with that, assholes. And lastly, our final hit. Kind of a fun guy here. Somebody nobody's ever talking about. Noah Fant, tight end, Seattle Seahawks. Noah Fant has multiple games this season where he's tied for second in the team in targets. This is going to be a shootout palooza. I like Noah Fant to bring in potentially a touchdown here as the Seahawks try to figure out if they want to be sober or drunk all year long. That's it for Playing the Hits. I'm Chuck Bass. Go get it.
Go get it, indeed. It's week 7. Get those lineups set. But before you do, wake up with us on Sunday morning. Got a great show for you with all of your fantasy friends in. We got some prop bets for you. We got some ultimate DFS lineups. We got weather. We got injuries. We got it all. So check us out on Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Wake up with us. And then, of course, it's football right after. So just a nice prelude to get things started. All right, we appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. From us to you, we are out.